Pat with Seattle Coffee Gear, and I'm here today with some tips and tricks for using your Philips 4300 Superautomatic Espresso Machine. So if you haven't seen this machine before, be sure to check out the crew review and some of the comparisons we have of this and the Latte Go version of the machine. Today we're going to look at some little tips you can use while using the machine yourself. The first thing that I want to make sure to call your attention to is to be sure that you're using non-oily beans in this machine. I know we say that all the time about super autos. If you watch a lot of our videos, you're probably tired of hearing it, but the fact remains that it's really important to use sort of drier beans that don't have as much oil, otherwise they can gum up your grinder and the machine will stop working far sooner than you would want it to. So make sure you're using beans without a lot of shine on them. The next thing is to make sure that you are dialing in your beans. Some people don't realize that you do have to dial in beans for a super automatic shot, sort of like you would for a semi-automatic espresso machine. The process is a lot easier with the super auto because all of the parts are contained in the machine, but you do have a little bit of dialing in that you want to do. So if you just got your machine, first of all, it's going to take anywhere from 5 to 20 shots before the parts settle in and it's brewing its best espresso, which for that process, you can use some like staler older beans because you're just running them through to get all of the parts inside all settled in. After that, when you've got your new beans that you're using, you'll want to use the knob that's in the hopper to adjust a little coarser or finer depending on whether your shots are sour or bitter. I could go through that step by step here, but we actually have a great video that's all about dialing in a super automatic. It's from a couple of years ago, but all of the information there is relevant to this machine and any super auto that you're going to get. So make sure you do that for your new beans if your shots taste off at all. If they taste great with where the setting is set by default, cool, then you don't even have to worry about it. Another thing is this machine warns you every single time that you're finished cleaning or steaming some of your milk to clean the steam wand. It's really important to do that. One mistake that's easy to make is you go, okay, I'm going to clean the steam wand assembly. This is just part of the wand though. You actually want to be sure to pull off the whole assembly because otherwise during the steaming process, milk can get sucked back up inside and end up kind of gumming up this the selector here that does the aeration to change the foam amount. So you just want to take both of these and make sure you rinse them until the water is clear and there's no more like milky residue in there. And every now and then, it's not a bad idea to just wash them all the way, soak them in some warm soapy water, then thoroughly rinse them just to make sure that they're staying really clean because milk gunk in milk steaming systems is probably the most disgusting thing that can happen to a super automatic. So be sure of that. Another early tip for maintaining the machine is you're going to want to be sure to use an AquaClean filter. There's a really easy process when you first set up the machine that walks you through installing the filter. And if you choose to skip it at that time, it will remind you periodically to say, hey, maybe you should install this filter. It's really great. It's going to reduce or it's going to extend the amount of time between descalings needed. So it's going to reduce the number of descalings you have to do, which is really nice. It saves on a lot of hassle and it protects the machine for the long term. So we definitely recommend it. If you want to install an AquaClean filter and you don't have the prompt up to install it, if you just go to the clean menu, there's a AquaClean button right here that will, or a menu option right here that will, you can select it and it will walk you through the process of cleaning the filter or installing the filter. And then after that, it's going to recommend that you replace the filter at the appropriate time. So it'll help you stay on top of that, which is really great as well. Another tip about milk steaming, this is a Panarello steam wand, and it does have a selector here that will change the foam amount based on how the steam is aerated as it goes down into your milk pitcher. But with that in mind, while it's not the same as a traditional like tipped steam wand that you would get on a like commercial machine or a high-end home machine, you actually can benefit from paying attention to the ways that you steam milk. If you follow the instructions on the screen, it's just going to tell you to hold it a little bit below the surface of the milk and let it heat up. That's fine. But if you practice a little bit of milk steaming tips around like, first you're going to get a little bit of air in there and then plunge the steam wand at a certain point, you can actually improve the quality of your foam for lattes, and it'll also help you learn to understand how to make even drier cappuccinos if you want to do that. I could go through that here, but I am not the most skilled milk steamer around the office, so I would recommend checking out some of John's milk steaming tip videos. If you go there, he's got really good tips that aren't going to provide quite the same results as they would on a traditional steam wand, but they will give you a little higher quality milk than if you just stick the milk steamer into the pitcher a couple centimeters like they suggest. So it is worth checking out. So something else that can help you prevent some messes with these machines is every Superauto's drip tray extends kind of far back into the machine, and this one in particular doesn't really have a cover, so you can pretty safely remove it and you'll be able to see the level of the water. You're going to want to make sure you pay attention to the red floater here that's going to tell you if the drip tray is full. If it is full, you want to be really careful when removing it, and make sure that when you do, even if it's not super full, you might want to run some paper towel or a dish rag back in the back here to make sure that it's dry back there, so it prevents any kind of anything gross from building up back further in the machine behind the drip tray. Sometimes if the drip tray gets full, it can splash a little bit, or a little bit can leak out when you're removing it for cleaning. So it's really important to make sure that you are doing that. You're also going to want to make sure that when you dump the waste bin that you're giving it a quick wipe down, because again, sometimes the grounds that are a little more damp can kind of build up and not just fall out when you dump it. Seems simple, but I've noticed it as something that people don't always think to do. So as far as the machine's usage itself, there's a couple of things that I think are worth keeping in mind. One, don't forget that you have your profiles here and that you have your guest profile. The blue and the green profiles are perfect for if you live with a partner or a roommate. You can go through those to have each person set their drink recipes the way they like. And if you have someone who doesn't normally use the machine, by switching to the guest profile, it's not going to save those recipes. So it keeps your recipes preserved in one of your profiles. So don't forget about that. It's a really easy thing to just go, I don't care. But using those can make your morning coffee routine even simpler than it already is. Another thing, and one of the most important parts to understanding your espresso from a Superauto that I really care about, is make sure that you understand dosage and your double shot option. So these machines are pretty tightly compacted, right? So they have brew units that are designed specifically for brewing a shot of espresso from this machine. There's not a lot of room in there. So the amount of espresso that it's dosing into the sort of puck that it's making is going to be a lower amount than what you would get on, say, a professional espresso machine. So if you just, go through this, keep everything normal, hit go, you're going to get a very different shot than what you might be used to from your local cafe. So thankfully, because this machine gives you the ability to change the volume of your espresso shot, you get to know how much water it's putting through. It doesn't give you an exact number for the dosage, but usually these machines fall, it's just general super automatic advice, they fall between like 8 and 12 grams of coffee dosed for a shot. So even if you go all the way up to the top strength level, the most coffee, if you take this up to a 3-ounce shot, it's not going to taste like a 3-ounce shot out of a double shot basket from a cafe. So the reason I bring this up is because instead of this, a lot of people look at this as like, oh, well, this is a huge problem, I hate my machine now. But that's the whole reason why there's this double shot option here. So if you want a stronger shot, consider brewing a smaller shot at a higher strength and just doing a double shot. And then you're going to get the same amount as you might have initially wanted, and it's going to be extra strong. This extends to all of the drink options. So same thing for coffee, and same thing for the cafe crema and ristrettos. Like, just keep in mind that the reason it's using less coffee isn't necessarily because the machine isn't good. It's just because of the size of the machine and everything packed in there, there's only so much room for them to dose coffee. And the idea here is that if you want more or stronger coffee, you can use that double shot option. So that's going to do it for our tips and tricks video for the Philips 4300. Hope you've enjoyed this video and hope you're enjoying your new machine. Let us know in the comments below if you have gotten a better shot or a better cup of coffee using these tips. Thanks so much.